Hey guys, it's Stephanie here from Oh You're Lovely, and we are starting a new series. I don't know what we're gonna call it. Simple tricks? Tricks of the trade? I don't know. But I'm going to give you three different tips and tricks today, all about Sola flowers, some of the other things that start to come up once you start making different arrangements of how to do different things and what works best and all that fun stuff. I hope you enjoy them. No supply list. Let's just make this a surprise. So let's just jump into these three. Yes, count them. 1, 2, 3. Quick tip tutorials. That sounds good. When it comes to greenery, you can take apart an entire sprig, if you will, of greenery and use each of the pieces individually. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Super simple. There's a couple different ways to do it, and it's all going to depend on how your greenery is set up. So let's walk through that. So the first thing a lot of the time is the greenery is going to have a hole right there. It stops at a solid point. Can't go any further. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your stems that you're using, the floral wire that you're using to stem up your Sola flowers, put a little bit of glue on there, take that and slide it right in. Give it a second to dry, and boom, bang, done. The other one that is typically found is you're going to have a piece of greenery that has a hole that goes all the way straight through. So we're gonna take our wire, string it right through, and then we're going to just fold this over. You can then take a needle nose plier and tighten that up a little bit if you want, but there you go, another option. And then the last option, and I'm gonna just unstring this one real quick because we're gonna use it for this one. Again, take a piece of greenery that has a hole that goes straight through, take a Sola flower that you've already stemmed up, slide that through, and there you go. This is great for boutonnieres in particular. Now I would use a bigger piece of greenery for that. Actually, let's double this up. Why not? Here, I've got another one right here. Twist that, and there we go. We've got the start of a boutonniere. Super simple. You can also do this for arrangements. So hopefully that helps. So you're ready to make an arrangement in a vase or a jar. What kind of filler, so to speak, can you use to hold everything in place? These are the two that I use the most. The first one is dry foam. It comes in green. I go with the green, the floral foam that's dry. You do not want a wet foam because that's actually the foam that is meant for fresh flowers that you soak. It holds water so that you can prolong your fresh arrangement. And if you stick a lot of different wires and stems and greenery into the wet foam, it starts to crumble and fall apart. So you want to go with the dry foam. You can find this at any of your craft stores as well as ohyourlovely.com. The other filler that I use, and this one's a little bit trickier, it's a little bit, you have to plan ahead, and that is crack filler. I go with Great Stuff in the red and yellow can, and this is for gaps and cracks. When you get it, there's a little nozzle thing that comes with it. You take off your top, you twist this on. I'm not gonna do it all the way. Twist that on, shake up the can, and start filling all your vases. Now the things to note about the gap and crack filler, hopefully I don't mess that up. What you wanna do is you wanna have all of the different vases that you want to fill up, or boxes or containers. Now if you're using things like glass, be aware this is going to expand all different directions. If you put too much of it in, it may break your vase. So be aware of that, be careful. Only fill it up. I usually only fill it up at the absolute most half. If you want to be more safe or conservative, go quarter of the way full. It's going to expand. Also, in about like 15 minutes or so, once it has started to expand, I take a wire stem and I just poke a couple holes in it to release even more of the air to get things moving along. Now, if you do overfill something and it goes over the top, you can cut that down with like a serrated knife. Easy peasy. It's not the end of the world. Also, the other thing to note is once you start filling things with this can, it's a one and done kind of project. If you do not use up the entire can, you're gonna have a really hard time going in for a second round of different vases. So that's why I get all of the different vases that I wanna fill that day and just fill them all up with one can, boom, bang, done. And then I have a whole bunch of vases in the future to use for other arrangements. Okay guys, this is a newer trick and it's all about glycerin. It's a little confusing, a lot of questions, a lot of testing out, but there isn't a tried and true, this is how I like to do it, and you will find the way that works best for you. So I use a vegetable glycerin. Mine is palm derived. You can use whatever derived glycerin that you want to use. Now I'm gonna show you two different things that you can do with this glycerin. The first one we're gonna do is we're going to put it in a spray bottle mixed with water, and then what you can do is if you have flowers that you did not dip dye with glycerin, you can take your spray bottle and spray them down, and that will help soften them up a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the glycerin and we're going to just fill just about the bottom of this bottle. Now this is gonna depend on the size of your spray bottle as to how much glycerin you're going to use, but basically think of it as like a quarter glycerin or an eighth of glycerin, and then the rest is water. A little bit of glycerin goes a very long way in these types of projects. You can use distilled water if you want. I have not had any issues with my tap water, but it's gonna depend on your tap water. And you'll know better than I would. So I'm just gonna fill that up. And I don't know if the camera will pick this up or not, but you can definitely see that the water is now kind of cloudy. There's something kind of in there. That's the glycerin. And then whenever I'm using this to spray down my flowers, I just grab and I shake it just a little bit, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you want to dye your flowers with glycerin in the dye itself, we're going to do this. Again, I have not tested a full like this ratio to this ratio. The only problem if you use too much glycerin is once the flowers dry, they never actually feel completely dry. They're almost kind of wet to the touch, but they're not wet. It's a very weird sensation, and that has happened to me in the past. And if you don't use enough glycerin, it doesn't really feel like anything has changed. So we're going to do a kind of a dry run of this. I'm going to put in a half teaspoon of glycerin. I feel like that's gonna be enough for this particular one that we're doing. So I'm just gonna grab some craft paint. I'm gonna fill the bottom of my cup. And you might wanna add a little bit more glycerin if you're using a darker color where you need a ton of saturation. I'm thinking like deep reds, navies, dark purples. You might wanna add a little bit more glycerin to that. I'm gonna fill it up with some water. Now some people like to take the water and glycerin and make a mix and then add it to their paint. I don't do that. If you do, that's fine too. Like I said, there is no right or wrong way to do this right now. It's still kind of experiment mode of what works for people. So now I'm just grabbing a half a teaspoon. There we go. Half a teaspoon is what we're gonna use. Fill that up. Now when I dye the flowers, and once they dry and they don't feel like, if they feel like nothing has changed, then I'll go back in and I'll just spritz my flowers down with some glycerin, the mixture, and know that next time I might need to add a full teaspoon instead of a half a teaspoon. All right, now 2 seconds. I'm gonna disappear for 2 seconds. It would help if I had a stir stick. All right. Just gonna mix that around. It doesn't change any of the coloring of the paint itself. I have not used glycerin with latex paint. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. I just typically use craft acrylic paint. So there we go. You're set to start dip dyeing. Hope this helps. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed those different tutorials, maybe inspired you a little bit, answered one of those questions that you're like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? Because that happened with me with the greenery when it finally just clicked, especially the stringing the filler in with the flower. That was a mind blow moment for me the first time that I did that. Why haven't I done that before? If you have any questions, make sure to drop them down in the comments. If there is a new quick tip tutorial, maybe that's what we'll call them, I don't know yet. But if you have a question that you think is a quick answer, or we can make a quick video about it, drop it in the comments and we will make sure to add it to the list of tutorials that we will do in the future. If you are loving these videos, can't get enough, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to learn more about the 100+ Sola style flowers we carry in the shop, as well as filler and craft supplies. Go to ohyourelovely.com. And until next time, this is Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely, and you, my friends, are absolutely lovely. Bye guys.